Before we kick off today's episode, there's something I want to share with you. If the conversations on this podcast resonate with you, if you're someone who is doing the inner work and craving a deeper connection with yourself, then one of my retreats in 2026 might be exactly what you're looking for. Coming up this May is the Embodied Woman Retreat, a 4-day experience that I'm co-hosting with holistic psychologist Laura Corcoran. Together, we bring psychology and somatic healing into a deeply nurturing environment to help you reconnect with your body, release what you've been carrying, and step into a more grounded and authentic version of yourself. Then in August, I'm hosting my Rest and Renew Holistic Retreat in Bali, a luxury escape designed for deep rest and nervous system restoration. Think beautiful surroundings, nourishing food, massage, breathwork, meditation, and spacious days that allow you to truly slow down and reset. Spots are filling fast, so if something inside of you is saying yes, be sure to head to my website ashbutters.com or send me a DM. I'd love to see you there. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Smile. Today here in the studio we have Jade Donegan. Jade is the principal consultant and founder of Energy Collective Co., where she works with organisations and individuals to improve performance by understanding the human experience behind behaviour, culture and results. Through her experience leading organisational transformation while navigating grief, full-time work, practicing Reiki, studying law and raising 2 boys, Jade brings a deep understanding of how personal energy shapes the way we experience the world and why learning to manage it matters. At the heart of her work is a simple truth. People don't leave their lived experience at the door when they come to work or interact with others. How we feel, interpret pressure, and regulate our energy directly shapes how we think, behave, and perform. Drawing on evidence-informed frameworks, tools and solutions, Jade supports leaders and professionals to build clarity, focus, resilience and sustainable outcomes. Her approach is practical, grounded and deeply human, helping people perform well without disconnecting from themselves in the process. Now, Jade and I have known each other for over 20 years. We actually
30 years. 25 years.
It would be about that. We went to school together, but we haven't stayed in close contact for a number of years. We kind of reconnected over the last couple of years through socials and then caught up for a coffee, and I just thought, oh my goodness, Jade has to come on the show. She's going to be offering you guys so much value today. So without any further delay, Jade, welcome to Behind the Smile. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm good today. Yep, Mum's just shuffle the kids off to the wave pool, which is probably the worst place I can think of being with 2 very energetic boys and a lot of humidity and 40 degrees heat. But
do you know what I think
I'm
of
good
straight away? Papillomas. Do you remember being a little kid and getting those warts on your feet from school?
Oh my God, no. No.
I think I have trauma.
You?
Yes, I used to get them all the time from the pool.
Oh, no, my son's getting warts on his knees though, and it's gross.
On the knees?
On the knees, like clusters.
Never have I ever.
I spent hundreds on getting them burnt off. So now I'm just going to let them roam free and we'll deal with it later. Yeah.
Oh my
kids
gosh.
And delicious.
All the joys that come with having small little humans. Jade, I want to kick off today's conversation with some nice, easy questions so our audience can get to know you a bit better. So can you please share with us, where do you live? What does an average day look like? And what do you do for fun?
Sure. So at the moment, I'm living in New Zealand, just out of Auckland, on a property with sheep and pigs and the whole experience in New Zealand. And my normal day is getting up. I try to, and my husband will laugh, but I try to get up at before 6 so I can do Pilates in the morning. But I find most of the time the Pilates is great, but it's more just hearing the birds and just being awake before the household wakes up. So I'll try to do that. And then it's getting the kids ready, getting them to school, and then pretty much straight away I'm into study mode. So I try and study early in the morning, and then I'll study, and then I'll usually split the 5 hours that the kids are at school between study and work, and then picking them up, activities after school. But we try to not overbook stuff. Sometimes it's just going to the park or the beach and just taking the dog out. dinner, kids to bed, and then I usually study again at night or finish up on work at night. But I think, and we'll probably get to it, I guess, but I really love what I'm studying now. I think when I was doing late night working, when I was full-time working corporate, it was exhausting. But now I really enjoy what I'm doing. So I'd rather study for an hour than watch a TV show that I'm not really invested in. So yeah, it's a lot of times like my most valuable asset, because I'm trying to squeeze as much as I can out of, half an hour free. I'll be listening to my lecture or whatever, or trying to get work done. So yeah, it's full, but it's good now.
And
Great.
tell me, where do you find time just for fun?
I was having this conversation. I went to a 40th actually on the weekend, and they were like, well, what do you do for yourself? And learning I find really fun. I really enjoy it. So at the moment, it's actually studying is something I find really fun. But I've really gotten into the fantasy girly books. I don't know if you're in. Okay.
Yes.
That's my fun. That's like half an hour at the end of the day where I'm like, right, come on. Like, I've got my book boyfriend.
What are you reading at the moment?
Not my book boyfriend. At the moment, I've just started on Quicksilver.
Ooh.
But I've done Akatar, Fourth Wing.
Yes.
All of those. And then Throne of Glass I've just finished. So, yeah.
That's the next one on my list. I've just finished Akatar. I've done Fourth Wing. And then I messaged Georgia, who you know, because she's the one that got me into these books. And I was like, do I do the glass one next? Like, because I have no idea. But this is it Quicksilver?
Quicksilver.
That sounds good as
Throne
well.
Throne of Glass is great. Throne of Glass. But that's what I've been saying to like a lot of just instead of watching TV, it's really good.
Well, I love it because firstly, reading fiction has helped me to fall back in love with reading, because I loved reading when I was young. I loved English at school. I loved when we did history together. Like, I loved all of those kind of subjects, and I kind of lost it somewhere along the way. Reading became more like there needed to be some sort of direct value driven from it. I needed to be learning something. It had to be up-leveling my skill set somehow, which is all good and well, but sometimes just to read for pleasure is such a treat.
It's an escape. Like, I was saying non-fiction, if I'm like, I'm not learning, like I've got next to my bed, I've got The Secret Life of Trees, which is insane about just how trees talk to each other and are conscious, and it's amazing. But then I've got my fantasy books, and I find myself, because I love video games as well.
Do you?
But like my husband would come down and I'd be like gaming on a PlayStation, and he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, it's just my way of relaxing. So now I'll read, which I feel is a little bit more age appropriate. But yeah, it's nice just to escape. So that's my escape. I do that for fun at the moment. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I love, we're very outdoorsy. So weekends are like adventures and swimming and hiking, and New Zealand's amazing for that. So
I need to know, what took you to New Zealand? I'm sure anybody that's listening along who already knows you or maybe knew you from a past life or a season of life would love to know what actually took you there, because it's big to move to a different country, especially with a little family.
Yeah. And why are we going that way? All the Kiwis are like, why are you, aren't the planes empty?
We come to you.
Yeah. So my husband worked for a global organisation in Australia, and they had a role come up in New Zealand. And I think we'd kind of toyed with going overseas just before COVID hit. There we were looking at going to Singapore. And I'm so glad. There was something in my gut that was like, no, it's not right. It's not right. Thank God we didn't go. We would have been stuck in an apartment with a newborn and a wild 3-year-old for 3 years. So, yeah, it was just the right time. And I just finished up. It was kind of around the same time that I had made a bit of a change as well, just with my own what stresses I wanted in life. And there'd been a couple of redundancies. I worked for one of the big 4 banks that had come and gone, and I'd gone into a different role. And yeah, a redundancy opportunity came up, and I thought, you know what, I'll just take it. And I want to study. I will want to spend more time, because I'd always been full-time for the first 7 years of Jack's life. So Jack's 9 now. And I'd always been full-time with Tommy, and I thought he's got a year left before he starts school. And I just wanted to have that experience of dropping him off, picking him up, having, dinner in a crock pot and being organised, and not frantically trying to cook dinner at 5:30 when I got home.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll use this as an opportunity to do that. But then, yeah, literally started a law degree 2 months later and was like, I'm going to start a business. So, but it's all flexible, like it's good. But yeah, so I was in a place where I could pick up and continue that overseas. And yeah, and the boys are young. They still want to hang out with us. And, you know, they're kind of, that age where we can all do stuff together and they're not too cemented in Melbourne. But yeah, the plan is to come back. So yeah, 3 or 4 years and then the plan is to come back. So, but we love it there. Couldn't speak more highly of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, and New Zealand is such a beautiful country. And I think just to give your family that experience of, I was only 1, so I don't remember this. But when I was 1, Mum and Dad took us around Australia for a year in a caravan. My mum says it's the best year of her life.
That's amazing.
You know, just making those memories.
Yeah.
So I love that.
We did, yeah. So we did when Jack was 10 months old, we went up to Cape York for 2 months. And then we went when Tom was 5 months old, we did the Simpson Desert and Uluru, and it's amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. And I think also sometimes having the 2 boys, you can get really caught up into like, what sports are they doing? Weekend birthdays, everything becomes, and I could see that at work. Like people would come to work on a Monday and they're empty. They're like, birthdays and sports. And like it's been really nice to just circuit break that a bit and just be out there on our own. Like we didn't know anyone when we just picked a place on the map to live. So it's kind of been nice to just force that family time together.
And you come back a little bit, right?
Yeah, so back pretty much if I need to come back for work, but remote is, you know, we can pretty much work remotely now. And then just family and friends. But lots of people have taken the excuse to come visit us, which is nice. So
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Jade, I've asked you to bring in a photo today. Now, this is a photo from a time in your life where you were hiding behind a smile. So you were presenting one version of yourself externally, but internally it was a very different story. For those who are listening along, we're going to bring the photo up on the screen now. Could you please describe, for those listening, what are we looking at here in this photo? And then share with us what was actually going on for you at that time in your life.
Yeah, so it's a photo of me at a wedding. I look very polished. I've got a blazer on. I think I've got a red dress on. And I just come out of the bathroom. And it was one of those weddings where we hadn't seen schoolmates for a long time. So we said, let's do a big group photo. And I think they were kind of waiting for me. So I came out of the bathroom. They're like, quick, jump in the photo. And so we took the photo. But I'd just been in the bathroom crying my eyes out because I had lost my dad about 3 months earlier, which I'll sort of share the circumstances around in a moment. But I just lost my dad and I thought I was good. Like I was like, okay, like shock's over. I'm good. And the bride had just mentioned that her dad had passed and wasn't able to be at the wedding. And I was like completely overcome with emotion. And so I kind of excused myself and went just to the bathroom and was like in there for probably 10, 15 minutes, just bawling my eyes out. And then thought, oh my God, like just get your shit together, get up, go out there. Everything's fine. Like it's been 3 months, right? Like, you know, you kind of put time on how you're allowed to feel. And so, yeah, came out and took that photo. And then I remember just the photo being taken. I remember the flash. I remember just being like dead behind my eyes going, oh my God, like this is just the most unauthentic. You know, and I was also a bit like, why am I making it about me? Like it's her wedding. But yeah, so that was kind of the one that resonated most because I remember the photo being taken. But yeah, there's been a lot of times. So my dad, he was 66, and just out of respect for mum, sort of I'll share some of it, but it was sort of 10:30 at night. I'd just gone to sleep and my phone rang and it woke me up. And I remember kind of waking up and looking at the phone and not knowing what the number was. And it rang again. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to answer it, but I'll just Google what the number is because they've called twice. And it was a Sydney number. And I knew mum and dad were driving back from Magnetic Island and were due back in about a week. So I thought, oh yeah, they're probably in New South Wales. I wonder, like maybe they're broken down or it's weird, it's at night. And then my husband's phone rang and it was the same number. And just as it rang, I'd Googled the number and it said Westmead Hospital. And I instantly knew, like your stomach drops and you just know. And interesting, I wasn't worried about dad at all. I was only worried about mum. And then, there was a woman, she was an ICU doctor, and she said, look, I've got your mum here. She needs to tell you something. And then they put her on loudspeaker and she said, Dad's died and there was a car accident. And she just said it wasn't his fault, but he's not here. And then like your whole world, like and I think you can probably compare that to any time anyone's gotten a phone call or news or just found something out where your whole world, it was an out of body experience. I remember just thinking, I think it might be too much information, but within like 30 seconds I was sick from both ends. Like I was like, my whole body just expelled everything. And I was shaking and I was just couldn't breathe or do anything. And I remember just starting to feel this spiral where I was just about to collapse in on myself. And I don't know if it's because I'm super spiritual or I'm just open that these things happen to me. But as I was sitting there breathing and almost about to go, I'm just going to let myself go. Like I was about to scream and just lose it. This giant daddy long leg spider just started dropping from the ceiling and dangled on the tip of my nose.
No.
I was like, and it just refocused me. I'm like, what is that? And then this spider just did this and then went back up, this daddy long legs. And I was like, okay, all right. And I instantly just went to, what do we need to do next? Like, how do I get to mum? How do I do that? But I think when you get that kind of news, losing a parent at any time is hard. I think I've now gotten to a point, I'm in grief, and you can never put a timeline on grief either. But the feeling never, ever goes away, ever. It just happens in micro moments rather than it derailing your entire week or day. But now I think I've learned, and particularly through learning Reiki and learning energy management, I see the world in such a different lens. If I hadn't have learned Reiki or energy management, I don't know what emotional state I'd be in. I don't know what kind of mother I'd be, what kind of wife I'd be. But I'm able to move through emotions so much better now and really feel them and not let it derail or bring me into a negative space. And I'm now really grateful and it's really hard, probably very hard to people understand, really grateful for my dad's passing, because I have to believe that any other alternative would have been far worse. And like when I think about grief, I think like you miss the memories, but they're in the past anyway. You don't, if you've had a memory, it's gone. You hold on to the memory, but you're actually missing future memories that you never had and time you never had, but you're not entitled to that anyway. That's never promised. Nothing's ever promised. So it's really changed the way that I have an outlook on life and appreciating the moments that you're in now and knowing you're completely out of control of everything and just stepping into that flow a little bit more and being grateful for what you do have. Yeah.
So when you got the phone call, I remember receiving a similar phone call when my brother-in-law had passed away. And I was in Melbourne with my fiance and we had to get up to Sydney, and I just remember like it was almost like time froze, like everything kind of moves in slow motion, and like it even feels really heavy on my heart right now to talk about this, which is what grief is, right? Like this isn't something that consumes me anymore, but then you talk to somebody, you connect on a level, and all of a sudden those waves come back up. But I remember that time slowing down and, somehow like getting to the airport, sitting on the plane for that hour and 10 minutes was hell. And then getting off the other side, my fiance's auntie being there, beautiful Georgie, and taking us back to another aunt and uncle's house. And I mean, that whole next week was a bit of a blur for me. But tell me more about, did you go up to Sydney? Like, did you go to the hospital? Because your mum was also very injured, wasn't she?
Yeah, she broke pretty much every bone from her neck down, which she still said. She goes, I didn't bang my head anytime she does something. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? But yeah, she was in ICU for 2 weeks, and she didn't walk for a year. She had to relearn all of that. So it was instantly, but I was so naive. It was 10:30, I got the call. I had to call my brother, which is still one of the worst phone calls I've ever had to make, and then call my uncles. But it was like, I was like, okay, well, and because I'm so outcome driven, I'm like, right, well, I get a car, I'm going to drive to Sydney. I'll be there at 10 hours. I'll be there at 8:30 tomorrow morning. And my husband's like, well, wait, I don't think you should be driving this state. I'm like, don't talk to me now. Like, I'm fine. I'm clear. I know exactly what I need to do. I'll put mum in the car and I'll drive her home. Like, I just did not realise the extent of her injuries. So, yeah, it was getting on a plane at 8:30 the next morning. And, you know, and it was like bizarre. So my dad's birthday is the 13th of February and I was on flight, like JQ, like the flight number was 13. I was in row 13. The plane left at like 8:13. Like there was just, I was on, the cab was number 13. There was all these 13. So it was, for me, that was reassuring. And I think regardless of whatever grief or death you're going through, it helped me to find meaning, even if it was at a stretch, to go, this is not, this is for some reason this has happened and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But yeah, I walked into hospital. It was COVID, so luckily I'd had my jabs or I would not have been with mum. She had lost both her hearing aids in the accident. She's profoundly deaf. So I had to rely on my sign language skills, which is spelling everything out by letters. So like we're getting in there but I walked in just as they were wheeling mum out for surgery. And they basically said, we don't know what's going to happen. Like we don't know, like she's here, but we do not know what's going on the inside. And so then, yeah, it was 8 hours of sitting in ICU just on the floor. And I'm going to okay, comms, like who do we need to tell? Like what do we, like, so I think, you know, I'm also grateful that I had mum, but also that kept me busy. It would have been a lot harder to just not have anything to do and just to sit. But what it also meant was that I pushed aside a lot of my stuff and it took me, like it's been 4 years since the accident and it took me a good 2.5 to 3 years to really feel it. Like I don't think I even really felt it until until that photo. Like, and I think because you cry out of your head, but crying from your heart and your gut is a really different feeling. And I think knowing where things, like even you clutched your heart before when you were talking about grief, it's amazing where we store a lot of our emotions and energy. So it was when I finally cried from my heart, I felt like I let it out. Until then, I was just squeezing and like holding everything in. Like I don't think I really ate for at least a week. Yeah. Because you don't, like time slows down. You just don't, like I spent 8 hours sitting in the hospital. I have no idea what I did.
Yeah. You know? And it's almost like it's not even by choice. It's like you literally don't have hunger cues.
No.
Like
out of body.
All of those primal, it's almost like this, it's a classic fight or flight response where your body goes like, we just need to keep you alive right now. So anything that's going to get in the way of that, we're just going to switch that need off.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's your reproductive system, whether it's your need to eat, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, and your stomach's so clenched anyway. Yeah, like no hunger. Like I remember uncles, everyone flying up to Sydney like to be there for mum, but also to be like, can you make sure that Jade eats? They're like, here's some lollies. I was like, oh, that's actually a good thing. Yeah. I'll have some lollies, but I can't stomach, like, you know, I'm not going down the cafeteria.
Yeah, you feel sick. Like the thought of eating, I remember the same thing and I was just drinking and drinking and drinking. So,
that's, I think having, you know, I actually think, you know, I'd gone through stress and stuff before, just working full time with the kids and not having the tools to manage my own emotions and my own energies. If I had had some sort of underlying thing that I was just staying on top of, you have like an earthquake like that, and it just, I was grateful that I didn't have something that I was just like, I'll just grab that and that'll make me feel better. Crutch. Instead though, I was just numb, like just helpless feeling, which is for me can be quite dangerous. I have to get out of that hopelessness and feeling like, oh, everything's happening to me and I'm a victim and I can't be in that headspace.
Yeah, and even just hearing you share, I feel like you autopilot to busy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm just going to stay really, really busy so I don't have to feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally relate to that.
Now I think about it, I'm always I'm like, wait, am I in it now?
Have I actually
talk to me in 2 years and I'll be like, oh, I can't believe you spoke to me. Like, but no, yeah.
We are forever a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Can we talk a moment about forgiveness, because there was a conversation that you and I had at coffee the other week where you shared on this, and it really cracked me open, and I just thought I need you to share this with everyone. with respect to your mum and her experience, would you mind sharing a little bit about the other drivers?
Yeah. So, so mum still doesn't know the detail because I think she just doesn't want to. And I think you also learn the worst. And I think for her, moving on means if you've got any anger, it pulls you right back. But what I can share is that they were just driving along, and then they were going 110. They were out in the regionals of New South Wales on a freeway, and they were just driving along. And weirdly, so mum and dad never listened to the radio, and that about 10 minutes before the accident, dad was like, let's put the radio on, and mum's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to keep reading my Kindle. And the song was Knock, Knock, Knocking on Heaven's Door by like a thing. So that was, mum actually told me that in ICU like within 24 hours. She's like, it was really weird actually. She's like, oh, that's weird. But so dad was probably singing along to the radio, listening to the radio, and next minute a car just pops out onto their side of the road and it's a head-on collision, both going 110. Mum and dad were in a four-wheel drive, and the other car was a Hyundai Getz with a infant in the back seat, and well, 4 passengers including an infant. They all walked away with bruises. Mum walked away, well, didn't walk away, but survived, and dad passed away in the car. Was conscious and lucid up until that moment, but wasn't in pain. But they all walked away, and I remember the police officer telling me in the hospital, she was like, I've just got to let you know, I'm so sorry, but also we cannot understand. We have not seen an accident like this where the 2-wheel drive hatchback, where they walk away. She's like, this should have been a 6 accident fatality. And, basically, and I just said, I burst into tears more for the person that was driving, because they were a learner driver. They were immigrants. And my heart broke for her, because I remember how scary it was driving. Like, I had a minor accident where I was just on Beach Road driving to work, and I just nicked the front of a car because I didn't brake quick enough, and my number plate donked. I had like a little Festiva, and my number plate like went kink, and he was fine, but I was shaking. It was terrifying. And so for her, I just hope she's okay, because she's got to get behind the wheel every day, and to know that you did something that caused somebody. And so I have only forgiven. I don't even think there's something to forgive. It wasn't her fault either. But I think if you don't forgive, you're holding on to that. And I think I've become really attuned to, what am I holding on to that's going to cloud my version of reality, that's going to help, that's going to change a decision that I need to make, that's going to make me be triggered. Like, I'll be in a meeting and someone says something and I'm like, well, that was rude. What was, what's with the tone? And now I'm carrying, and it's like, no, I've done so much work on myself that I don't get triggered by stuff really anymore. If I do, it's there, I recognize it, and then I move it through, because I can just see how it can really ruin relationships and the way people see their life. But for me, I had to forgive because I just had so much empathy, and I choose to believe that that was how Dad chose to go. Yeah. And I still talk to him every day. I'm still very he's still, and that's like, the energy stuff's deep. We won't go into all of it, but people, their energies and their soul and their frequencies are still floating around without the body. It's weird.
I mean, we've got to talk about it a little bit, because again, when I chatted to you about this, it just blew my mind in the best kind of way. You talk to your dad every single day.
Yep.
And he sends you signs.
2 days ago, I was literally thought Ash is going to love this. So the last memory I have, I was with him, me and my son, they've got a bush block up in Anarchy, which is out near Geelong. And we took my son camping there, just me and Dad and him. And I bought Dad a metal detector because it's on old gold mines. So there's gold shafts anywhere. And I'm convinced that we're sitting on a gold mine here. And it wasn't until I learned about property law that actually we, if we find any, we'll have to do it very sneakily. But we took this metal detector, and Dad took some gold coins. It's like, I'm going to chuck these in the bush and Jack's going to find them and he's going to think it's great. Anyway, he still thinks Oh, sorry, mate, if you listen. They were they were planted,
Spoiler
but
alert.
it was all in memory. It was good for a good time. And so we had this really lovely night and day and camping, whatever. And then the accident was about 3 weeks after that. And so we've had the metal detector in the garage. And on Monday, I was like, I need to get up there. I need to cut back the track. It all gets overgrown. So I'm out there with like poison and just like, getting it done. And I thought we'll take the metal detector and we'll leave it up there, but we can play with it. So I brought the kids along and the metal detector was broken. It's on batteries. So the batteries were flat, but we turned it on at the power, turned it on the button. Nothing's happening. Screen's not working, properly not working. And so I'm like, oh, we'll carry it. And there's a log on the tree. So we had to walk about 2 kilometres to get it to the container to put it in. But we're dragging this metal detector around and we get up there and there's those old classrooms, the demountables that they're no air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the school would get, so Dad bought a bunch of those cheap. So he has them all lined up down the track. So we thought we'll put them in there so it stays safe. And I get up there and I put it down and I'm just sort of standing there. And after a minute and a half, I heard there was this siren. I've got it on my phone. There's an alarm and I look up and it sounds like a fire alarm. And we're in the middle of the bush. It's all off grid. There's no power. And my kids are going, it's a fire. I'm like, but there's no, where's it coming from? There's no power. There's cords hanging out of the building. I'm like, mate, there's no power. I have no idea what's going on. I actually thought someone put a camera up there, like one of those motion sensor cameras to try and keep people off. I'm like, are there squatters here? I'm going to get them. So we're walking around trying to find these squatters that have set up like a GoPro. There's nothing going on. This thing is going on and on and on. And I go back and I look down and the metal detector box is there. And I pull the metal detector out and it's blaring in my hands. It has got sirens. There's no lights. It's just making this noise. And as soon as I pick it up, a few seconds later, it stops. And I'll turn around and everything's off. The power's off. The screen's off. God. But there's these things going nuts. And so I'm instantly going, well, because I'm still skeptical. I'm like, well, obviously there must be metal around. So I put it back down. No more sound. But I just thought, yep, that's Dad's way of being good job bringing the metal detector. We're still, the gold's coming.
The gold's coming.
Yeah, I get those things often. And there's, for people who've lost somebody, there are some really beautiful universal things. There's ladybirds, there's kookaburras, there's a whole bunch of things. But I get ladybirds. There was a ladybird on we stopped in the middle of the bush and I was just figuring out, do we stop here or do we keep going? And a ladybird just landed on the thing. I had a ladybird hatch in the house a month ago.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm just very hyper aware.
And you have a specific sign, don't you?
Oh, so, yeah, Jaguars. So, so Dad drove Jaguar cars. So it's always been a symbol that I relate to him. And he saw a Black Panther up at Magnetic Island, by the way. So just to fuel that conspiracy, get the tourists up there. But yeah, so black cats, jaguars have been a symbol. And so I hadn't get a lot of signs all the time and wild ones, but hadn't really heard or gotten signs for a couple of months. I remember thinking, oh my God, have I been making this up the whole time? And maybe I've just been clutching at things, but I've had some really obvious things happen, but hadn't heard from him. And then I just said really intentionally, I was like, Dad, if you're up there and you can hear me, you need to send me a really clear sign because I need to know that when I'm talking, and you can do it in your head or you can do it out loud, whatever, write it down, doesn't matter. I need to know that there is something bigger than just what I'm seeing and experiencing. And that night, so the next morning I woke up and checked my emails, and that night I'd gotten an email and the email just said Jaguars. And I was like, good one. And I opened it up and it just had in huge text, this is what you've been waiting for.
Oh, I've got chills.
I will show you
full body chills.
And it was from some guy in the UK who sells secondhand Jaguar parts that had sent it to my email, which my email is my first name and my maiden name. It's not like a generic kind of email. And so, but the name in the email was for Jacqueline Cootis something, but then it was my email address. And I'd never spoke, like it's not like I'd signed up for Jaguar secondhand car parts, and I've never gotten another email again.
Oh my.
It was just a really lovely, and I think when you're aware, and I'm into ghosts and energies and everything and electronics and your phones are a really good way. Like my Apple Watch used to talk to me like randomly, and I'd just get it in the shower and I'd just get like a note, like it'd just come up random, like you go, hey Siri, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that I get a lot of electronic things happening.
Downloads.
Bizarre.
Oh my gosh.
I love it though. I love that we don't have. It's like trying to explain Wi-Fi or the internet, to someone 1,000 years ago. Like it's magic. Like I can't
even understand it now.
Explain it. It's frequency, it's energy. Like how do you? So I love that there's so much we don't know or understand. But at the same time, because I'm also skeptical. I'm like, but how? But if it makes you feel better and it helps you get on with your day and be a better person, like if you believe in Bigfoot, go for it. Go for it. Great. That's so cool. I've never seen it. I wish I had, but great for you. Yeah. So I think it's just being accepting of others. And for me, like I hang on to those sorts of experiences because I'm like, oh, that helps me get through it.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to this whole idea of energy. Like you said, it's a frequency. We can influence the energy, through meditation, through affirmation, manifestation. We have the power to control our thoughts and rewire our thought patterns. So why not believe in something that's going to help you, that's going to be positive rather than the opposite of that, which is to think of the negative, to be stuck in self-pity, to be energetically blocked, not being able to move forward.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you even come across Reiki? How did it become a part of your life?
Yeah, so I had it once at Golden Door, which was they're closed down now.
It's like a health retreat.
Yeah. I'm sure not related to my experience. But it was Gwingana's amazing.
Yes, love Gwingana.
And I had Reiki done, but I think I wanted a massage and I was like, I'll do Reiki. And then she didn't touch me. She was just kind of hovering around me. And I'd just gone through like a really tough something and I was really sad. I'd been crying a lot. And she was like, you've got so much happiness in your gut and you're feeling great. And I was like, what are you talking about, woman?
You are full of shit.
What? I'm like, this is the worst massage ever. Don't even touch me. And so I was just kind of like, okay, that's another woo-woo thing. Like, great, like here's my money, just whatever. And then I never thought about it again. And then I was trying to fall pregnant and I went to my psychic, Steph Warburton, who ended up teaching me Reiki. And she was like, look, you've got a bit of a blockage in your sacral chakra. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, do you mind if we do like a bit of a meditation? And so because I was trying to fall pregnant and it hadn't happened, it was about a year. And so we were doing meditation and I had my eyes closed and I could feel a heat lamp over my tummy, but it was a really weird fuzzy, it was a hot heat feeling. And I thought, you get massages or acupuncture, they put like a heat lamp over you. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know how that's going to make me pregnant, but great. I can just do whatever, I'm open to it. And I kind of opened my eyes because it started to feel really weird. And I opened my eyes and she just had her hands over my like womb. And she looked at me and she said, can you feel that? And I was like, yes, I can feel that. Like, what is that?
Oh, my gosh.
She said, oh, it's Reiki. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing, but that is weird. I've never felt so connected to something but you can't see it or touch it or feel it. It's kind of like music though, right? Like you hear music and you can feel it, but you can't touch it, see, whatever. So I then fell pregnant the next month. Right. And same thing, like with Tom, it was 9 months and I'm like, oh, I'll get Reiki. And then I fell pregnant. Obviously it's not that simple for everybody, but after that was like, I've got to learn this. This is incredible. But it was just before COVID. It was like 3 months before COVID. And I'd kept having these flashes of, did you ever watch The Walking Dead?
Yes.
So I'm like, I love those shows, but I was like, there is going to be a zombie apocalypse. I had these visions of the Geelong like around that road that goes around Geelong being empty and me driving to check on my grandma because I knew that like we had to go and check on her because she wasn't going to survive, but you weren't allowed to be out on the roads and everyone's behind closed doors and the whole world stops. And it was about 3 months before, and I kept having this dream, and I was starting to panic and get really anxious about it. I'm like, something's coming, something big's coming, something's coming. And then Steph was like, hey, I'm going to teach Reiki. Would you like to do it? I'm like, I think I need to, because I'm like in my head, and I need to get rid of that because I'm worried about it. And then 3 months later, COVID happened, and I was driving to my grandma's to check on her. It was like the vision I'd had. But I learned Reiki with her, and I did it over about 18 months, maybe 2 years. And it's just changed. I think it changes your self-awareness, and it changes the awareness of your interactions with others and objects and stuff as well. Like I walk into an antique shop now and I'm like, oh, like I can feel like energy just sticks to things. But I was also working in change and transformation in HR. So I was dealing with people going through rapid workplace change and losing their jobs, and I realized that what I was missing before that was the clinical change stuff. Like, okay, we've done a reorganization, jobs are changing, here's the job, here's your skill set, you're in or you're out, and here's EAP to call somebody. Mm-hmm. But being able to walk in and feel someone's energy and be able to help balance it, and even when it comes to poor performance, if someone's not performing in their role, to be able to bring the humanity into it, not only does it mitigate the risk that they're going to get really pissed off and then sue you, but to help them go, I can move forward with clarity and with control, and this is a good opportunity for me. I just can't see it yet. But Reiki helped me tune into energy a bit more and become a lot more empathetic, and also be able to read on the cues that sometimes are really difficult because you just want to get through a job, but to realise that you actually have, I mean, I think workplaces don't realise the power they have over someone's well-being and their health.
Totally.
Because you got to go and you got to put on a smile, and you're dealing with so much behind the scenes. So it just helped that.
You and I were chatting about that the other day as well. One thing that I notice with workplace well-being is I think it's fantastic that there has been a shift in putting a focus around it, but it still feels for me a little bit like a box ticking exercise. It's like, oh, it's Are You Okay Day. We better check in and wear the t-shirt. And for that one day, it's like, oh, we'll do a wellness day in October, and that'll be us, hitting that KPI. That's not what it's about. That, if you really want to see significant change in absenteeism, in performance, in overall well-being, in creativity, in connection, that's about understanding people's energy, giving them the tools, and managing stress over a period of time. It's not just a tick the box once or twice a year.
And you also can't fix people. People need to be accountable for who they turn up as every day. They need to be aware that they're employed to do a job, that the business is not there to make you feel good. Great if it does, but you need to be in control and accountable for what you bring.
Yes.
Know your triggers. I think so much unproductive work happens when there's conflict and miscommunication because people are bringing all their other stuff into work. But I think businesses have a responsibility to help people recognise that they are accountable and responsible for their own well-being, and here's the tools and everything available for you.
Yes.
Because, I think that's just helped things that would have upset me or bothered me and then put me, stagnated my intuition, but also my innovation and ability to get things done, and be frozen by paralysis because I'm annoyed at someone's tone or what happened, or the fact, why wasn't I in that meeting, or what's going on? There's it's all political, and so many things just don't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
It's helped me get shit done a lot more effectively.
What I've noticed with you, which I love, is like you acknowledge that things will still hit your stuff, because at the end of the day, we're human beings. Things are going to hit your stuff. It doesn't matter who you are, how much work you've done, but how long you stay in the feeling of ugh.
Yeah,
that's what you can be in control of.
Yes, and also knowing what's yours and what's not yours. So being like someone might say something and I'll have a knee-jerk reaction, which is the 14-year-old me, that someone was mean to me, and that feeling, that synapse, whatever neuron pathway reignites, and I go, oh. But then I instantly go, but I know what that is, and I know why that upset me, and I am upset now, but now I'm fine to move forward because I know that, you know, they probably didn't mean to, and even if they did, like, why would I carry around this feeling? So you can just move through it a lot easier, and also know that people are hurt people hurt, and when people are going around making other people feel bad, I now see it with compassion, and I kind of think, like, that's come out of you, like that's been in you, and it's come out, like, why, like, oh, that's like, you actually feel sorry. I feel sorry for people more now because I think you must be really hurting to try and hurt me. But I have really firm boundaries now where I just don't let it in.
I even see that on a more subtle level. Like if I notice somebody is really judgmental of someone else, or somebody really wants to get caught up in gossip, I'm like, interesting. Like I think it reflects more on what's really going on for that person than it to be anything about the person that they're judging.
Absolutely. And it's also what I've realized recently is that if I see a judgment out of someone, or someone's, like you said, gossiping, and I think, oh, I don't really want to get wrapped up into that negative space. But then I go, I also think that you see what is a mirror too. So if you see it, someone might see it as, oh, someone's really interested in what that person's doing because they haven't heard from them in a while, but you might see it as gossip. So you kind of have used an opportunity to go, okay, well, that's interesting that I'm seeing it as a gossip and a negative thing.
Totally.
Maybe.
And is that then a judgment?
Yeah. So we're all going around in circles. But it's really, it just helps you go, I think having that self-awareness to go, is that a positive thing that's making me feel really good? That's making me go, fuck yes, I want to do this, and I'm going to be a better person, and I'm going to work through things? Or is it making me feel negative and dense and heavy? As soon as I start to feel heaviness, I just redirect.